LoreWarrior Armour double feature, the Pilum Heavy Tank. Overview. The Pilum Heavy Tank represents Valiant Vehicles' attempt to follow up the success of their Striker design. Most simply, the Pilum was designed as a heavier version of the Striker, and this approach has enabled Valiant to use Striker components in this new design and keep the cost relatively low. In fact, Valiant even took the unusual step of using a wheeled chassis for the Pilum, making it the first known wheeled 70-ton tank. Though this design choice elicited criticism from military observers, the success of the Striker convinced Valiant to go ahead with a wheeled chassis. Capabilities. The Pilum's Interfus 260 fusion power plant provides the tank with an impressive flank speed of 65 kph. The Pilum's pair of turret-mounted Valiant Arbalest missile racks slaved to an Artemis 4 fire control system make it well suited for long-range support duty. For short-range protection then, it carries a pair of turret-mounted Valiant Javelin Streak short-range missile racks and a pair of Valiant Ruby Dart medium pulse lasers mounted in the front of the vehicle. Like many long-range support vehicles, it's lightly armoured for its weight. However, the Pilum's Valiant Scutum ferrofibrous armour partially compensates for this potential drawback. Deployment. Technical problems on the new production line at Valiant's Johnsondale factory has delayed distribution of the vehicle, but troubleshooters at the plant have corrected the issue, and Pilums are now rolling off the assembly lines. Most of these vehicles are scheduled to enter service with the AFFC frontline units, but the extent of the Pilum's deployment remains unknown at this time. Variants. Currently, the Valiant designs are working on an artillery support version of the vehicle which features an Arrow Force system in place of the LRM racks. Apparently, Valiant intends this design to be used with the new Pegasus hovercraft. 3058 Upgrade Overview. The Pilum heavy tank continues to confound military experts who believed the swollen Striker was a design mistake. Its dependability and ability to handle a wide variety of terrain and combat situations have proven that a wheeled heavy tank can be a valuable asset to any armoured or mixed arms force. Though no longer the only wheeled tank in this weight range, it is still the fastest and most versatile on the field. Valiant Vehicles has never pretended that the Pilum was anything other than a heavy counterpart to their highly successful Striker. It follows the same philosophy of high speed and firepower over armour, and is designed to be inexpensive and easy to maintain. The two tanks actually share many of the same components, a decision appreciated by troops that deploy both vehicles. Capabilities. The Pilum is primarily a long-range support vehicle. Its turret mounts a pair of Valiant Arbalest missile racks designed to be fired in tandem, separately or together, and the Arbalests are well able to lay down precise fire at extreme range. Enemies attempting to engage it at close range find themselves facing a turret-mounted brace of Valiant's highly effective Javelin Streak short-range missile launchers and a duo of Valiant Ruby Dart medium pulse lasers mounted forward. The Valiant's use of their Scutum ferrofibrous armour means the tank is better protected than the weight of its armour would indicate. However, the firepower and speed are its key to its field survival. Deployment. The Pilum then has proved popular with several Federated Suns commands, and it is a rare RCT that now doesn't field at least one platoon. The 17th Avalon Hussars RCT found the Pilum's speed and long-range firepower useful in actions against the Jade Falcons, and they boast that they have taught the clans new respect for conventional armour. Both the 2nd Chisholm's Raider and the 1st Federated Suns Lancers rely on these vehicles as the mainstay of their heavy armour battalions. Of particular note is the 8th Crucis Lancer's extensive use of both the primary configuration and the artillery variant. Though the 8th was effectively destroyed on Proserpina in March of 3066 by the combined forces of the DCMS 1st Sword of Light, 1st Ghost and 46th Deering Regular Regiments, Armour Commander Lieutenant General Doe C. Truscott was their ranking officer in their unit's last days, and faced with certain annihilation of his new and few remaining forces, Truscott led a desperate attack spearheaded by his Pilum tanks, and though the outcome was inevitable, the 8th's armour assets were cited by Shosho Shin Yodama, overall commander of the Draconis forces, with the destruction of scores of DCMS battle mechs. Variants. Highly respected as a solid and well-rounded design, there have been few calls for variations to the Pilum. The only factory-standard version in production replaces the LRMs with the Arrow for artillery, and there are rumours of field modifications to improve its close defence abilities, but no hard data exists, if in fact they even do at all. It's been suggested that with its high speed and manoeuvrability, it could be an effective platform for short or medium-range missile launchers. However, in the sort of firefight in which these weapons would be effective, its light armour becomes immediately problematic. Notable crews. Hauptmann William Lavonder. On the 22nd of July 3064, Hauptmann General Helen Eisner led the 2nd Chisholm Raiders into the meat grinder of Cathel. 7 of the raiders' dropships were shot down or captured before they made planetfall, and those raiders who did manage to reach the surface found the 6th Certis Fusiliers RCT between them and their objective, the General Motors Battlemech plant. Rather than face the superior force head-on, Eisner ordered her forces to break into small units and flow through the Fusiliers. 2nd Company of the 4th Chisholm, 2 platoons of Pilums and a scout platoon of Strikers under the command of Hauptmann William Lavonder was leading a column of medical and support vehicles through an apparent gap in the wake of Raider battlemechs when they came face to face with a lance of Fusilier assault mechs. Lavonder ordered the Strikers and supplies to the GM plant and then wheeled his Pilums to engage the mechs, hot-loading their LRMs for the close combat to come. Only 2 would survive the firefight, but Lavonder's tanks destroyed 2 Fusilier mechs and critically damaged the remaining pair. The vital supplies would allow Eisner to consolidate her position, making the GM plant her base of operations for an assault on Cathel's capital, District City. So, the Pilum. As it says, it's 70 tons, it's a wheeled movement type with a power plant called the Interfuss 260 Fusion. This gives it a cruise of 43 and a flank of 64, with the armour being the Valiant Scutum Ferrofibrous. And as it says, it's armed with 2 Valiant Arbalest LRMs, 2 Valiant Javelin Streak SRMs, and 2 Valiant Ruby Dart medium pulse lasers. I do like Ruby Dart as a name. It's manufactured by Valiant Vehicles on Johnsondale. Its communication system is the Wunderland 25-2, and its targeting and tracking is the Wunderland 25-2 with Artemis fire control. Stat-wise, it translates into a move of 4 and 6, and it has an armor value of 40 on the front, 33 on the sides, 33 on the rear, and 40 on the turret, so largely comparable to the armor of the Tokugawa. But it does carry 2 LRM-15s with its Artemis fire control, both located in the turret, giving it 24 shots in total, with the ammo being located in the body of the vehicle. Has 2 Streak SRM-2s located in the turret, with the ammo again being in the body, with 50 shots, so 25 each. And finally, 2 front-mounted medium pulse lasers. It's, again, a bit of a spud. It's not really the kind of vehicle that screams, oh, AI iconic on the field, but I'm not going to argue with a vehicle that can roll around with 2 LRM-15s with Artemis 4. That's a nasty hit. And combined with the Striker, it means you've got a pair of pretty decent fire support vehicles that can roll around. They're pretty cheap and inexpensive, as it says, and they are capable of doing some pretty nasty damage. And unlike the Striker, this actually has the ability to shoot at enemies that get a little too close with pretty decent accuracy of medium pulses. So yeah, it's not a bad vehicle. Again, like the Tokugawa, it's not something that you're going to rush out and, you know, buy like a dozen models of or something just so you can have like a little armor company. But it's different again, and it also is another vehicle that's more specific to us for a house. In this case, it's specific to the Federated Commonwealth. So yeah, you can see it in armies of both Steiner and Federated Sons, which isn't bad. Overall, it's okay. I don't dislike the vehicle. It would be one that I would again use in maybe like a late campaign or a larger overall battle that maybe the players would be involved in, or it'd be a fire support unit on their side, that kind of thing. It's a rank and file kind of vehicle that you can deploy as something as part of an enemy lance that it gives a little bit more character and flavor to the enemy force, or it can be something that the players can utilize to back them up in a themed kind of maybe they're sieging a location and the LRM fire is going to be important for them to maybe whittle down the foe or break down some defenses or a wall, that kind of thing, so they can break on in and start doing the murder up close and personal like. Tea, need that. So yeah, again, 4 and 6 of the movement keeps it in pace with a lot of heavy tanks of the period, so it means that it can be protected as well. If anything does get close enough, you can probably have a bodyguard vehicle nearby to make sure it doesn't get absolutely annihilated quite quickly. Though, to be fair, with the armor package that it's got, even though the write-up says it's relatively light on armor, 33 points across the sides and rear. That's a lot of armor that you got to get through before you get through to the actual hull itself. 40 on the turret, 40 on the front. It can take hits. I mean, this thing would have to be hit quite a lot by some pretty heavy firepower to instantly knock it out in one turn. So yeah, it's a vehicle that can take a few hits, and if need be, it can back off and get off the field before it gets destroyed. So yeah, I don't know. I was with the write-up, I was honestly expecting it to have around about 20 overall, sacrificing more of its armor, as it says, so it can have a, its higher speed. I was under the impression that it was a vehicle that would move quite quick for a 70-tonner, but be quite frail. If I was writing this now, I would probably rejigger it so the engine was a bit bigger to give it more speed, so probably moving it at like 6 and 8 or something along those lines, and that would have reduced the armor, so the front armor would have been like 25, the sides that would have been 20, the turret may have been 25 or 30, the rear would have been like 15, something along those lines. It would have reduced it a lot more, and if possible, maybe increase the ammo count a little bit, so as to further emphasize the fact that this is a thing that sits back, uses its speed to get into position, fires missiles, and gets the hell out, and like the streaks and the pulse lasers are just to keep light vehicles and enemy mechs at bay until support can come along, or it can just escape. So yeah, but as it is, it's pretty tanky, so it's not bad. But that's all I got for the Pilum. Thanks for listening, as always. I will catch you all next time. Have yourselves a good week, and yeah, bye-bye.